Hey everyone, so this is going to be my review for Avengers Infinity War, literally 2 months later, but let's jump into it. So overall, I'll say that this is the best MCU film to date. I know you hear that a lot, like this movie is a game changer, this was a 10 out of 10, this is the greatest Marvel movie ever, but I can confidently say that this is at number 1 when it comes to ranking the movies. From the beginning, you know that this movie is going to be a roller coaster, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. The Marvel logo intro started and it was all silent at first, and then this ominous music starts to kick in with a distress call from Thor's ship. The very first 2 to 3 minutes where Ebony Maw is narrating all the Asgardian bodies on the ground and Thanos torturing Thor, just a beautiful yet frightening way to start this film. Speaking of Ebony Maw, I really enjoyed his character. I wouldn't say that there's much depth to his character, but I will say that out of all the Black Order members, he's the most developed, mostly because he has the most lines compared to the rest of them. When I first saw the movie, I found his, high and mighty tone sort of annoying, but it actually grew on me. I think his personality works because Tony was messing with him a lot in the movie. But as for Thanos, just like I said that this movie is the best MCU film, Thanos is also the best villain out of all of the other MCU villains. Basically, his whole philosophy is kill half of the population, that means there will be more resources for the remainder. His homeworld Titan underwent a famine of sorts, the planet quote-unquote died, and that sent Thanos on this quest to correct the universe. He collects all 6 stones, and snap, the universe is corrected again. I really love the aspect of his character where he doesn't see himself as a god or a conqueror. Even after he commits mass genocide at the end, he just goes to a distant planet and rests because he's done the job that he said he will do. There's nothing more that he has to do. He doesn't choose to become the ruler of the other half of humanity. He just goes to a distant planet, rests, and sees the sunset. Even the choice he made to throw Gamora just to acquire the Soul Stone, and he had tears in his eyes because that was such a painful decision that he had to make. He chose to sacrifice Gamora, his one true love, because he needed to correct the universe, but at the same time it hurt him to pay that price because he genuinely loves Gamora. And after that moment, he wasn't exactly the same. He was filled with much more rage, and you could see that in moments during the battle on Titan. But going back to the emotional roller coaster, I felt like there was a great balance between humor and heart. There were even some moments where the humor and heart sort of combined, and I found it interesting at how it worked. I felt kind of scared because I thought some of the humor would soil the heart moments, but it really didn't. For example, when Peter called Thanos Grimace, or when he said he was going to knock that nut sack of a chin off his face, those lines were hilarious, but it still didn't subvert the moment that was happening, which was Gamora begging Peter to kill her because she knew where the Soul Stone was located at. I found the emotional aspect of this film to work really well because we've been on this ride with these characters for 10 years or 5 years or 6 years, depending on when you jumped on the MCU ship. Every action Thanos took hurt the Avengers, whether that's physically or mentally, and it worked on the audience's end because we can sympathize with the characters. It hurts us seeing these characters get hurt. Going into the Infinity Stone heist, I really enjoyed that aspect of this film, and every time Thanos acquired a stone, it came at a price. With the Power Stone, he had to destroy the Nova Corps. With the Space Stone, he killed Loki and half of the Asgardians. The Reality Stone, he killed the Collector and Nora was completely destroyed. With the Soul Stone, Gamora died, but Thanos had to be the one to kill her, so it hurt him as well. With the Time Stone, Tony was injured and Doctor Strange had to sacrifice the Time Stone in order for Tony to live. And with the Mind Stone, Vision had to die a second time. And with each stone, these characters had to make difficult decisions. Gamora was willing to die before Thanos got his hand on the Soul Stone twice. Once in Nowhere with Peter when he tried to kill her, and again before she was thrown off the cliff on Volmir. Remember, she grabbed that knife that Thanos gave to her as a child and tried to kill herself with it, but Thanos turned it into bubbles. Vision obviously had to make the call to have Scarlet Witch kill him, and I found this moment to be so powerful. It's basically the same situation with Thanos and Gamora. Thanos and the Avengers both have goals in regards to the Infinity Stones. Thanos wants them, the Avengers want to keep them away from Thanos, so both characters have to do something so extreme in order to achieve their goal, which results in one of the characters dying in order to achieve it. That's just another aspect of Thanos that I love. A threatening villain with a dire plan that forces our heroes to make extreme choices in order to prevent him. But besides from that, the music behind this moment was beautiful. In fact, the entire soundtrack slaps, so I totally recommend that you guys listen to it at least once. Going back to another thing I enjoy about Thanos is that he's a man of his word. He has honor. He didn't kill Thor when he acquired the Space Stone from Loki, although in theory he could have when he destroyed the ship with him still on board, but when Strange gave Thanos the Time Stone and made the deal to spare Tony's life, he took it and left. He could have easily murked Peter, Iron Man, and Strange once he had all 5 stones on him, but he didn't. As for the different teams, I really enjoyed the energy that each character had and how it bounced off one another. Mostly between Iron Man and the Guardians, we didn't get a whole lot of that between Cap and everyone on Wakanda. But for the most part, I felt like the writers and the Russo brothers handled the majority of the characters very well. Team Iron Man and Team Thor, exceptionally done well. Meanwhile, Team Wakanda lacked in comparison, and that's mostly because we didn't get much interaction or one-on-one time with some of these characters. We didn't get a proper heart-to-heart with Banner and Natasha, nor did we see much interaction between Bucky and Cap outside of their hello, or this shot here where I can assume Cap and T'Challa talked one-on-one. So Team Wakanda, mostly business, no time for fun. The movie probably would have been longer. It was originally supposed to be 2 hours and 36 minutes, I believe, but got cut down to about 2 hours and 28 minutes. But in removing those heart-to-heart moments with the team in Wakanda, it does move the film closer to the finale. On top of the character work, some characters got more screen time than others. You look at Doctor Strange and Iron Man, they definitely had the most. But for some characters like Black Panther or Falcon or Bucky, they got less screen time. Cap surprisingly got little story. He was basically there throughout the entire movie. He had some great moments. His first appearance, fighting against Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight. And then in Wakanda, when he was facing against the Outriders, the moment where he was basically running and he was ahead of everybody else. He was sort of catching up with T'Challa as well. And then fighting Corvus Glaive to save Vision. But other than that, there was no real story behind him in this movie. But I'm pretty sure that in Avengers 4, we'll get more Steve because that's Chris Evans' last movie as Captain America. As for Thor, he was never really my favorite character. If I were to rank the OG Avengers, he'd be at number 3, which is pretty high because there's only 6 of them. But in this movie, he became my favorite. Everything about him in this movie was amazing. His quest to get the Stormbreaker, and when he held the gate open while taking the energy of a star just to kill Thanos. Again, another extreme measure a character took to defeat Thanos. The moment when he landed in Wakanda, bring me Thanos, was the best moment out of the entire movie. When I saw it opening night in April, my entire theater erupted with cheers and applauses. We were like that all night, which was okay with me, but at that moment, we all lost our shit. When he went up in the sky and turned the sky dark, it clearly looked like something you'd see in a comic book panel. It was totally insane. The Tony and Doctor Strange conflict was exceptionally great. You can easily see how much more mature Strange has gotten from his solo film to this film. 2 completely separate characters when you put them side by side. But you can also see that Tony has come a long way from the first Iron Man film, but he still has that big ego that we all love, but pretty much backfired on him in this movie. The moment where these 2 characters come to terms with each other, which is when Strange makes the deal with Thanos to save Tony's life by handing over the Time Stone, was just a great way to tie up the conflict that they've had throughout this movie. And now the ending of the film. So Thanos won. He wiped out half of the universe and killed half of the Guardians and the Avengers, or the other heroes. The only ones that are still alive are the OG Avengers, Rocket, Nebula, Okoye, M'Baku, and Rhodey. There are a bunch of theories right now. I haven't taken the time to read all of them or understand the magnitude of all of them, but I can say that all the people who died are just trapped in the Soul World, which is the special realm that exists within the Soul Stone, and it will take the OG Avengers to work together one last time in order to save the other half of humanity. And just to be clear, I'm talking about all the people who died at the end of the movie, including Gamora, because Thanos had to sacrifice Gamora for the Soul Stone, so I can only assume that Gamora's soul is in the Soul Stone. Even after he snapped his fingers, he had a glimpse of young Gamora in this orangey realm, so you can pretty much say that that is the Soul World, and he was speaking to an aspect of her soul. So if you're wondering how Gamora is going to come back, that's how. But as for the people who died before Thanos got the Soul Stone, such as Loki, all the other Asgardians, and the people on Xandar, those people are dead for sure. And I'll touch on Loki's death towards the end of this video. And as for the post-credit scene, Nick and Maria Hill are gone, but before Fury disappeared, he contacted Captain Marvel, so she's going to help the Avengers in Avengers 4. So I just can't wait for that. Now, for a few quick things I want to mention before I end this video. Star-Lord lashing out on Thanos is totally justified in my eyes because of his love for Gamora. I, for one, knew that Thanos was going to win. Star-Lord not lashing out on Thanos wouldn't have changed the outcome of the entire movie. Plus, Peter reacted the same way when he found out that his dad placed a tumor in his mother's head, which killed her, so it's not outside of his character to react irrationally when it comes to finding out that someone hurt someone that he loves. The Red Skull cameo was amazing, totally wasn't expecting him at all. Hugo Weaving originally played the character, but this time he was portrayed by Ross Marquand. As for how he's still alive, he was banished out to Volmir for tampering with the Tesseract back in Captain America the First Avenger, and then he became cursed by becoming the Stonekeeper for the Soul Stone. As for Loki's death, really sad that he's gone, and I definitely think that he's gone for good this time. I don't think that he faked his death because that would just be repetitive, and his story is pretty much complete. He sort of went from a villain to a bit of an anti-hero, and when he tried to kill Thanos, his whole story sort of came full circle, so for him to come back was sort of just roll back that whole self-sacrifice, or not really a self-sacrifice, or just an attempt to kill Thanos. As for Avengers 4, he's going to appear in that movie, but either as a form of time travel or the barf technology from Civil War. If he comes back beyond Avengers 4, it will probably be because he was revived by someone else and not because he faked his own death. But again, I'm not expecting him to come back beyond Avengers 4 unless it's like a flashback or time travel or some other way to see the past. The CGI was amazing. The action was really great. I truly enjoyed the battle on Titan and in Wakanda, even though the battle on Wakanda was fast-paced in most shots, so it was hard to follow most of the time. Black Widow had some really great action pieces, reminded me more of her early action sequences from Iron Man 2, The Avengers, and The Winter Soldier. She did have this weird tone in her voice that I really didn't like at all. She's not alone. You could use some of that right now. It just didn't work for me. It sounded like a silent but deadly whisper, and it just didn't really fit. And as for the Hulk, he started this 3-part arc in Thor Ragnarok that continued in this film and will end in Avengers 4, which is that Hulk is tired of being treated as a weapon. That's why he didn't come out in this movie. It wasn't because he got the beat down on Thanos. That's what I thought at first. But he's actually just tired of being misused all the time. Some people have come out to clarify that. I think the writers or directors have, and some other YouTubers have clarified it for me. So wherever that goes in Avengers 4, hopefully it will be a satisfying ending to this arc that he's going on right now. But what do you guys think? Did you like Avengers Infinity War? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for future Marvel videos. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and other than that, my name is Jobi-Wan Kenobi. May the Force be with you, and have a marvelous day from the LA to the DC.